So we have our coffee in hand and we are going to chat. I have everything written on my phone. So DPO means days past ovulation. So for us, it's also days past our IUI procedure, because that's the method that we use to get pregnant. So 1 DPO, honestly, I woke up with a lot of cramping, which I hadn't had in the previous cycles. And I was just really bloated for some reason, which I'm not somebody I bloat, I just don't notice it really, but I did notice it because there was a lot of discomfort on the lower left side of my abdomen. So that's 1 DPO. On 2 DPO and 3 DPO, I was actually very, very bloated, which again is not normal for me. Everybody bloats at that time of before that time of the month. Well, at least a lot of people do. I just never noticed when I do, but I really noticed how bloated I was. And I will say this video will not include any mention about cervical mucus, because I had to use a progesterone, so it taints that. So I won't be mentioning that, so that's not included in this video. But yeah, just at that point, just a lot of bloating. 4 DPO, again, a lot of bloating. My breasts were hurting a little bit, but not with Kaya, it was almost immediate. And they felt heavy, but again, could be mistaken for just your periods coming. But I did have a lot of pain in my cervix area, just shooting pain, which was also strange. But again, none of these things are completely out of the normal for just getting your regular cycle. So 5 DPO, my boobs were achy but not sore. Again, with my daughter, they were sore almost immediately, but they were more achy. I don't really know how to explain it. And I honestly, TMI, really needed to use the bathroom. Oddly, way more frequently than I normally would. TMI might be helpful to somebody. And I also started to get pimples on my chin, which generally when you get acne here, it's hormonal acne. So again, could just be your period coming, right? The symptoms for me are so subtle that it's kind of hard to tell in those really early days. So this is kind of where things started to get, where I kind of really started to become suspicious, because at 6 DPO, I had no appetite, and I realized that I hadn't really had an appetite since we had the IUI. And in the past, almost immediately, the next day or two after our IUI or days past ovulation, I would get really, really, really hungry, and I had no appetite. I was just that was the first major sign that something was different this time. I was not hungry, and I'm always hungry after our IUIs or days past ovulation. So that was strange to me, that I was I don't really want anything. I also bawled my eyes out when I was putting my daughter to bed, and she started calling for me after I closed the door, and she started calling mommy, and I went in there and I was mommy will always come for you, I love you. And it was just I was so emotional. So that was fun. 7 DPO, again, my chest was getting sore, my boobs are sore. I had the lower appetite, I still had the pimples on my face. I again cried because I was bringing my daughter to daycare, and we listened to that Baby Love song. And just her reaction, because I could see her in the back mirror when she was baby love, baby love. And so I put it on for her, and just her pure joy and excitement that she got when I put it, I literally cried. She was in her seat. Oh my gosh. I adore her, but cried about it. This was also the day that, TMI again, your nipples kind of get sore. It didn't last too long, but it was really annoyed that day. And then I was having trouble sleeping, but then I also had extremely vivid dreams for a couple of days. And I'm not somebody, I dream, but I don't often remember them. But it was like really, really, really vivid. And I kind of woke up and I was like, again, super out of the normal. And at this point I'm like, okay, I think this worked. Like, I think we're pregnant. 8 DPO, all of the same kind of symptoms, but I did start to get nauseous like right before bed. I hate being nauseous. Like, my worst thing is I hate being nauseous. And I also started to get a head cold, which I have a toddler in daycare. Like, you're gonna get sick. It is what it is. So I did start to get that like wave of nausea, which I really don't like. So that was fun. 9 DPO, again, just like sore boobs, sore nipples, but my C-section scar was actually really, like, was like hypersensitive, which was, I already, like, it still was, I don't like my C-section scar, it just like weirds me out. It gives me like the heebies, the feeling, so it was just extra sensitive. So 10 DPO, again, sore boobs, bloating. This is when I started to just feel tired, and I made the mistake my first pregnancy. When I was tired, I had no idea that it was related to being pregnant, but this time, now that I have more knowledge about it, I was like, I'm absolutely exhausted. But then I would get this like burst of energy and be like, let's get everything done, like, we got this, and then be like which doesn't happen for me. I am not somebody who just falls asleep anywhere at, like, nope, not me. And I also had sharp cramping, but on the right side, whereas previously I had cramping on the left side. So, don't know. 11 DPO, we tested. We did an at-home test, because I have no chill, zero chill, like, I need to know. But because we took a trigger shot, which is the hormones that like force your body to ovulate, so we took a trigger shot, you have to wait at least 11 to 12 days for that to come out of your system before you can take an accurate pregnancy test, which means that if you take it early, you could get a false positive because of that hormone. So 11 DPO, we took a test in the morning and it came back negative. Like, it didn't show anything, but something about it honestly just did not sit right with me. I was like, how can this, it doesn't, like, this time feels different. Like, in my soul, this feels different. How can this be negative? So I went test happy. I was also really cranky, like super short-tempered with Nicole, and I felt bad. But I was like, yeah, I was like snappy and snarky. Not my finest moment of life, but I mean, hormones. I was also super tired, but that afternoon, because it didn't sit right with me in the morning, I did another test. And it wasn't, I couldn't, like, it was very faint. So technically we did get a positive test at 11 DPO, which is very early to test. At that point, you wouldn't have even missed your period, but given fertility, either you know or you don't. So the next day, I obviously took another test, and it was positive. And I was like, yes, okay, like, we're headed in the right direction. This is gonna stick, everything, like, but it wasn't any darker than the day before. However, I've learned that doesn't actually really matter. I was tired. Again, like, you're tired because you're also a mom, but like, it was just like, I was just drained. So I was super tired. Again, I was not hungry, which is different. Before my period, I want to eat the whole house. I was also really bloated. But I was really thirsty on 12 Dpo, like really thirsty. And I drink a good amount of water, but I was like, nothing. It felt like I couldn't quench my thirst. So I was super, super thirsty. And I also, like, my smell, like I started smelling things that I would normally not notice. I get like, sometimes I just completely nose blind to things, but I felt like I could smell things and I was like, what is that? What is that? What's that? Why does it smell bad? Which is also kind of annoying, but 13 Dpo, positive line test in the morning, bloated, not hungry, except from when I woke up in the morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I need something to eat. My boobs were very uncomfortable. They're just like heavy. I cried again because Kaya said, hello, mommy. And it's just like the cutest thing. Like, she's not even 2. And it's just like, oh, it's so sweet. It like melts my soul. And she waved at me and it was cute. Took a digital pregnancy test because at this point we hadn't taken the digital one. I always save that one for like the final. So we took the digital one and it came back positive, which was super, super exciting. Also, if you didn't watch the previous videos, this was our last chance to get pregnant. Like, this is it. It was either gonna work or we were gonna have to revisit on a possible IVF situation with a different donor. Yeah, so the fact that this worked on the very last try is incredible. 14 Dpo was our clinic blood draw. I was tired, my boobs hurt, and we got the result, which you guys would have seen in the last video if you watched it. Our HCG level was 91.5. Anything above a 5 is a positive. So it was exactly where it needed to be. We got the confirmation from our clinic. And then I would go back in like two to 3 days to do another test to make sure that it's doubling and it's not going in the opposite direction. Yeah, so that was just like, we already knew we were pregnant, but it's just like the icing on the cake. It just makes it so much better. And then 15 Dpo, I was so tired, bloated, but also when I say bloated, keep in mind I'm taking a progesterone like suppository, so progesterone also makes you bloated, which is like uncomfortable. You just feel like ugh with it. But I had the need to use the bathroom to go pee more, and I was exhausted trying to drive home from work. I work about an hour away from where I live. It's like 100 kilometers in each direction. It's really far. And I actually had a really, really hard time. I had to pull over to take like a 20-minute rest because I could not function. I was so exhausted. So that was fun. But yeah, those are the signs and symptoms for my 2-week wait. I feel like they are pretty chill compared to some things that other people experience, which everybody is different. What you experience in those first 2-week wait is definitely going to be different than someone else experiences it. Mine are I feel like pretty chill, pretty relaxed, pretty low-key. And some people are just everything is so heightened for them, which is normal. That's their normal. This is my normal. And don't feel like if you fall somewhere between or you fall on one end or the other, like that's your normal and that's okay. Everybody's different. Anyways, thank you for watching this video and joining along in this journey. I've got a ton of other content coming out with regards to parenthood, motherhood, pregnancy, as well as some of my organization, cleaning kind of stuff. So if you like this video and you want to join along, hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and we will see you next week. Bye.